Why now? Why following a Week 6 Thursday night game?
Well, first of all, because the Arizona Cardinals needed it. And they lost Max Williams, one of their standout players, their tight end who had grown so close to Kyler Murray. They lost him to a serious knee injury. He is out for the season, so they had a significant need, and it took someone to step in and make a really strong offer to the Eagles. And the offer ended up being what the deal was, which is a 5th rounder and Tay Gowan, a young corner who the Philadelphia Eagles really liked in the draft that the Cardinals took in the 6th round. That Ertz was available has been no surprise. He has been available, and there have been trade talks for the Eagles with several teams for months, many months, and as Ertz alludes himself, this is something that could have happened this past offseason. In fact, many people thought it would happen, but Howie Roseman had a price in mind. He held firm. They took him to training camp. They took him to the season, ended up showcasing him a little bit last night and dealing him today. It makes sense for both sides, and for Ertz, he gets a fresh start in a place that really needs him, and for Philadelphia, they get to move forward with Dallas Goedert and Tyree Jackson and a couple other younger tight ends at the position who maybe have more of a future there in Philly.
Yeah, Ian, this was interesting because we found out afterwards where Howie Roseman said that Ertz knew this trade was coming before the game, that they had told him, starting last week, that he could be traded to Arizona. They made him a team captain so he could go out. And that's really a nice little celebratory gesture for him. But I am loving this trade for the Arizona Cardinals. When you look at that, like you said, they lose Max Williams to a season-ending knee injury. Now Ertz goes to a team that has an abundance of veteran wide receivers. They import another veteran player this offseason, something they made a habit of doing. But he fits what they do underneath screen game. And here's something not to forget. Ertz is going to be playing with Kyler Murray, right, a mobile quarterback. Where is he coming from? He's coming from Philadelphia, where he's playing with where he played with Jalen Hurts, another mobile quarterback. So he already knows some of the scramble rules and some of the extended play rules, which should help him fit in right away when he's eligible to play next week.
Yeah, you talk about the team, Steve and Ian. You get a look here. The way the Cardinals have built this going into this season, they are the last remaining undefeated squad. And over the last 2 years, they have made a couple huge trades. Obviously, the one for DeAndre Hopkins, getting that number 1 receiver for Kyler Murray. They sign A.J. Green. James Conner is enjoying his time in the desert, that's for sure, after leaving Pittsburgh.
Well,
he's
right?
doing 5 rushing touchdowns. J.J. Watt, anybody ever heard of him? Rodney Hudson, regularly cited as one of the best centers in the game.
Marcus Golden back, who's having a great season as well.
I mean, they have really built it through, and you typically do not see it in free agency. It's all about the draft and development, but man, have the Cardinals supplanted their draft picks. Absolutely going for it, and it's easy to see. Steve, we appreciate it. Steve going to be with us quite a bit here as we move forward. A lot of action out here in the West. But Ian, let's keep it going now with some unfortunate injury news coming out of that contest on Thursday night.
Yeah, that is about Richard Sherman, the Bucs cornerback, who actually signed with the Bucs to help them deal with other injuries at the position. And now he gets injured, suffered a hamstring injury last night, was very quickly ruled out. He's going to have an MRI in a little bit here and hopefully get some more specifics on how long Sherman is out and how bad this injury is. My understanding is it's not too bad, but he probably is going to miss some time. He described himself as disappointed, said he's going to bounce back soon. That should be in a couple weeks. So the Bucs, who still need to get healthy on the back end, who still have a bunch of injuries, just got another one at a very key spot.
Yeah, I mean, that secondary has been decimated by injuries, and another one. Let's get to the most important position on the field, quarterback, and what is the status of Daniel Jones for the Giants?
It's pretty good and getting better. Daniel Jones was in the NFL's concussion protocol and didn't practice on Wednesday, as is generally standard, then was able to practice on a limited basis Thursday. That indicated he was progressing well through the NFL's concussion protocol. Then according to Coach Joe Judge, he was a full participant today. That means that Daniel Jones, the starting quarterback for the Giants, is on track to play on Sunday, barring any sort of setback. He's not going to be fully cleared until he sees the independent neurologist. That probably happens tomorrow, but it does seem to be going in the right direction. The Giants should have their starter for Sunday.
Well, Matt, some bad news for the Browns as they try to beat the unbeaten Arizona Cardinals on Sunday. They're going to have to do it without their starting running back, Nick Chubb, who is out for this game because of a calf injury suffered late in last week's game. Chubb did not practice this entire week. The good news for Cleveland, they got another guy named Kareem Hunt, who's awfully good. 444 scrimmage yards this season. He leads the Browns with 5 rushing touchdowns. Defensive end Myles Garrett said today, Kareem is ready to go off and definitely has it in him, Garrett said, to go out there and have a career day. There are 10 players from the Browns listed as questionable for this game, including Hunt and Garrett, though they both spoke to the media today. Sounds like they'll be good to go. Starting tackles Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin did not practice the entire week. They're questionable, as is Jadeveon Clowney, who had the issue last week where he was dealing with an elbow, then the knee flared up. That will be one to monitor as we run up to kickoff here. The weather is also going to be interesting for this one, guys, because I'm currently here sweating. It's 79 degrees. It's humid. Well, come Sunday, it's Cleveland weather. Temps in the 50s. It's going to be heavy winds. I spoke with defensive tackle Malik Jackson, who told me, I think it's time for us to start having that advantage. Get that hot weather team, indoor team up here, get some cold on them, and see how they deal with it, guys.
Yeah, that sounds pretty horrible to me right now. Right about now, Tom, it's dropping to 50 degrees in LA at night, and I think Money would agree with me. That's not very comfortable.
I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, that's right. But when you look at this, you talk about some of the injuries that they're having on offense. They're playing a very good Arizona Cardinals defense, but I mean, this is where the Cleveland defense has to show up. But I want to get to this Odell Beckham situation because we just played the soundbite where he was, hey, I'm a shooter. I consider myself James Harden. I want more targets. But also in there, let's put some context on this. He also said there's going to be games coming up where I'm going to have those big numbers. So let's not just use that bite to make him sound completely selfish here. But at the same time, he's only in his 3rd game back from coming off of knee surgery. He barely practiced with them throughout training camp. So that is part of an issue. But the big question all along was, how many balls are there to spread around with all these mouths to feed? Because Jarvis Landry now has been designated to return from injured reserve as well. So it's going to be picking and choosing based on what the defense gives them. And Odell Beckham is still a threat. It's just going to be interesting to see, because that was a conversation all offseason, how he is going to fare with the ball being spread around so much on a run-heavy offense.
I'm just saying, maybe don't go with James Harden. Never really hear too many teammates talking about how much they like playing with James. Hey, I go Steph Curry, Steph Curry shoots. You got to get more shots up. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to do it, you might want to pick a different player to try to make the analogy.
And then for the Carolina Panthers, they have just now ruled out Christian McCaffrey with a hamstring injury. This was all headed in the right direction. They thought he was going to be able to play this week. And then after Wednesday's practice, he just reported he did not feel good enough. Didn't feel 100%. Didn't feel like it was headed in the right direction. They pulled back on him. Not a setback, but they pulled back on him. Didn't practice yesterday or today. Out for Sunday.
The Cardinals-Brown contest is going to be a great one, but maybe the game of the week is Chargers versus Ravens, 2 4-1 teams. And I know you got an update on those pass catchers of the Ravens.
A little good news, bad news for the Baltimore Ravens. So Sammy Watkins, who they signed in free agency and has really been kind of a key part of their offense, he is out with a soft tissue injury, hamstring injury for Sammy Watkins. We'll see how long it's out. It's probably 1 to 2 week type injury, but he is not going to play Sunday's game. So that's the bad news. The good news, Rashod Bateman, who had core muscle surgery and has been out about 2 months since the surgery, he is expected to play for the Baltimore Ravens. And this is something that John Harbaugh announced to reporters a couple of minutes ago. A long-awaited debut for a really, really talented player the Ravens liked a lot in training camp. You are finally going to get to see him on Sunday.
Their top wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, and when I say top wide receiver, I mean he is targeted far and away above the rest of the pass catchers on this team, left the field after stretching and went and worked with trainers on the side. We found out after practice that they are being very cautious with a little bit of a hamstring issue with Terry McLaurin. What I am hearing is he is questionable, but my understanding is there is a very good chance he will be on the field, and that is a good sign for Taylor Heineke.